Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to take a look at the Ripple XRP price chart. We're also going to take a look at the Bitcoin price chart, and we're going to paint a bigger, broader picture here for what's going on in the cryptocurrency market. Obviously, there's a lot of impatience going on in the market right now for the altcoin holders, watching that Bitcoin is having such a nice rally over here. So, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and then compare that to the altcoins and the alt cycles and try to figure out what's going on with Bitcoin and can we draw any conclusions yet to what we can expect out of the altcoins. If you've been following this channel for a while, or if you've taken my course at bcbacker.com, we talk about the different scenarios that there could be one or two altcoin seasons. There's only been two altcoin seasons in a single cycle for Bitcoin, which was back in 2017. Otherwise, we've only seen one alt season per cycle. So we're going to take a look at Bitcoin right now and see if we can draw any conclusions or see when can we start figuring out which one are we going to be getting, right? I'm going to show you what we're looking at right now, the different things that I'm looking at over here on Bitcoin to help me determine whether or not we're going to be having one or two alt seasons. For XRP, if you've been following this channel for a while, we talk about the exit plans, right? We talk about different price points, right? Like 13, 26, 55, and man, maybe 100, right? Maybe. But you guys know that I really focus on that $13 price point a lot. That's like the main priority for me right now is that entire price zone between $10 and $13 for our next big push to the upside when we get a super big cycle on the XRP price chart. So the thing that I have to determine for me is, how am I going to play that when the time comes? When it comes time to, when we get to $10 to $13, is it time for me to be selling into Bitcoin because Bitcoin is going to be going up much higher? Or is it going to be time for me to be selling into US dollars and walking away from this market? In the end, the whole goal of getting in here is to walk away with a bunch of money. I think most people are here for exactly that, and I want to walk away with as much money as possible. I also do have the patience that if it takes an extra year or two to exponentially grow that, I will do that. And that's if I have to play the Bitcoin card at the same time. But the thing that we're looking at right now is whether or not Bitcoin is going to be breaking out into new highs right now, or whether or not Bitcoin is going to be finding some resistance pretty soon. If Bitcoin does find some resistance pretty soon, my expectations are that a big alt season is about to begin. If you've watched my last few videos, we've talked about that. My expectations are that if Bitcoin does find this big resistance, it's going to come in somewhere between 16,000 and 16,300. Now, something else to keep in mind that we've been talking about is the big weekly resistance, monthly resistance, and yearly resistance that takes place at 13,880. That doesn't really match what I'm saying, right? I'm saying we're going to 16,000 to 16,300. However, there's this huge resistance right there at 13,880. But let me show you where these resistances are on the Bitcoin chart. And trust me, we will tie this back into XRP in a minute if you came here just for XRP. But you can see right here, I'll just modify this really fast, 13,880, and you can see how the candles close right there at 13,880 for the weekly candles right here. You can see this is also where the resistance was back in June of 2019. So we have weekly resistance that takes place right here. We have monthly resistance that takes place right here and here, and well, by process of elimination, since this was the December candle close that closed over here, and we put this on our yearly candles, you can see that our yearly resistance also resides there at 13,880. And Bitcoin currently has been testing above $13,400 this morning, so it's not too far away. As a matter of fact, it's very, very close. But regardless of if there's resistance there or resistance where I expect there to be, which is 16,000 to 16,300 up in here, the big question is, will it actually find resistance here and then spend 6 to 12 months going sideways for an alt season, or will it blast off higher? So let me show you the things that we have to look at here. This is our previous cycle, right? This is the 2016, 2017 Bitcoin cycle. This is our 2012 and 13 cycle back in here. If you've gone through my course I have on bcbacker.com, we go into extreme details on this. If you've gone through all of my videos in the past, you've seen me talk about this a few times. But one thing that we've noticed is when we put this on the logarithmic scale, there's even a cycle that took place before this one. It just doesn't show up here on the Bitstamp chart. But the previous cycle from a logarithmic standpoint was the exact same size as this last one right here. So we have one cycle that was actually, even right before this, the exact same size as this one. However, when we take this previous cycle and we overlay it on our current cycle, you can see that we did not quite make it all the way up to the very top of this one, which would be up around $80,000. $80,000 is interesting because it also provides us a Fibonacci extension right there. It takes us out to the 4.236 Fib extension, somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000. This makes it a very interesting price point for me, this $70,000 to $80,000, and it's really my primary target for Bitcoin. I know there's a lot of people out there who predict $300,000 or $1 million, and hey, you know what? Go for it. But for me, I'm sticking with an approach that I deem to be realistic based off of the things that I see on the charts, and that $80,000 price point looks the most realistic to me. Now, there's a lot of people who will just take this past fractal that we have right here, overlay it, and say, no, we're going to 300,000 or 400,000. By all means, go for it. But for me, I'm sticking to this and what we've seen before, and that there was actually even a cycle that was exactly the same size as this one right before there. So one other thing that we see on here is how this thing is reacting identically. When we take a look at this just like this and how these levels all ended up being exactly the same for each bounce right in here. And right in here, it's all just matching up. So what would that mean if we actually are going to end up doing this move right here instead of an actual consolidation for 12 months, right? What would happen if Bitcoin actually just broke out and kept on going right here all the way up to the target? What would that mean for the actual altcoins like Ripple's XRP or Ethereum or any of those, right? Well, we don't know for certain, but what we could do is we can look to the past to give us an idea of what happened in those previous situations. Now, for a lot of people, this isn't going to be the sexiest thing to say, right? That we have to look back to Bitcoin to tell us when these alt seasons occur. In the end, going through this whole bear market, we've all heard so many different stories, we've heard so many different narratives, so much dot connecting that we just tie it all back to Bitcoin and it's all just a big cycle and that's all it is. Well, so far that's what it's proven to be true, right? So we have to stick to that as our worst case scenario, right? That's the thing we can always lean back on. If some type of unexpected news wants to happen or some type of switch being flipped wants to happen and sends the price skyrocketing, hey, by all means do it. Let's see XRP absolutely soar. But the thing that we can do is we can revert back to what's happened in this market previously, and in particular for XRP, which has had 3 different alt seasons which took place, or it's had 3 different bull runs which took place during alt seasons in the cryptocurrency market. Every single alt season or every single bull run that XRP has had took place during an alt season. There was never a circumstance where XRP has fired off on its own in its own bull market. It has only taken off during alt seasons. That may be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. I'm a realist. I'm totally fine with it. By all means, it gives me something to work with. So we have to go back to look at Bitcoin to determine when did these altcoins take place. The 3 alt seasons that have taken place in Bitcoin took place at the top of both of these cycles, and then there was one that took place right in here. So we have 3 different alt seasons to revert back to say, is there any information we can draw from that to tell us if there's going to be another alt season or there's going to be 2 alt seasons in our next cycle? Well, we could see that whenever Bitcoin is approaching its top, it does appear to have an alt season. So if Bitcoin is breaking out into new highs and it's approaching those price targets that we were just talking about, if they're around $70,000 to $80,000 and there's an alt season that takes place in that area, one can conclude that that's probably the only alt season that we're going to be having. However, if Bitcoin does bullishly consolidate up here between the 16,000 to 16,300, has kind of an ABC, pulls it back to 11,000, whatever, just kind of hangs out in that range bullishly for several months, and we do get an alt season at that time, well, you could still expect there's most likely going to be another alt season later that takes place when Bitcoin does finally go on its parabolic rise. The big question right now is, are we going to have this big breakout in Bitcoin right here like we did in the past, or are we going to consolidate with an alt season right now? What's exciting is that Bitcoin's about to tell us that answer. Bitcoin has done its complete market crash, it has done its retracement and its reconsolidation, and now is breaking back up in here. This is a big storyteller that's about to happen. Either Bitcoin's going to break out and go parabolic, or it's going to find resistance, and if it finds resistance, I expect a lot of that money to bleed back into the altcoin Bitcoins, in which we would see an alt season. But the big question comes, what do I think is going to happen? Well, those are the two scenarios I deem as the most likely. Weighing percentages on which one's going to happen, well, it'd just be a guessing game, but I can tell you the things on why I think it's most likely that we're probably going to see that consolidation in Bitcoin and that we're actually going to have two different alt seasons. And it all comes back to looking at the XRP price chart. For the people that have been following this channel for a while, let's take a look back here. If you've been following this channel since earlier this year, April, May, June, and that time, you watched how my expectations were that XRP was going to find support at 17.5 cents, and then now expecting that prices would hold at 22.5 cents. Picking these targets for these prices to hold at was not just pure dumb luck guessing. This was based on a lot of research that I've done and a lot of analyzing that I've done, saying that, you know what, it's doing a really big setup to have a really big bull run right now. And that means that we would most likely have two different bull runs, because that's the kind of setup that we're having. We're having a setup that would take us up for one really big push up into that $10 to $13 zone. Then we're going to have to look to Bitcoin to make sure we can get that confirmation that there's going to still be another leg that would take place after that. So these whole things, this whole 17.5 cent stuff, this whole 22.5 cent stuff was not just pure guessing. This was the setups that we were looking for us to have two alt seasons. So I don't know if I've ever shared that with you, but that's what that all is. These setups are perfect for us to have a really big blast off and then one final extension wave. So we'll see how this all plays out, but XRP is setting up right now for us to go on our big old move up, and hopefully that takes place right here during this consolidation with Bitcoin after it hits 16 to 16.3. So all eyes for me are on Bitcoin, but at the same time, it's getting me really excited about what's going to happen with XRP, and that story is going to be told very soon. So I thought I'd share that with you. That's a lot of stuff that came out of the BC Backer course. So I don't know. I thought I'd share a lot of that stuff with you because that's the grand picture of a lot of it, guys. But, you know, I do dive into it in extreme detail in here in about 4.5 hours, but that's stuff straight out of the course for you guys, and that's some of that really, really important information to just know, right? You need to know in the end, if we hold on to a lot of these assets with these false hopes and dreams based on speculation, or we can base it all off of the mathematics and what we've seen in market cycles previously. And that's what's going on with me and how I'm analyzing and how I plan on making decisions. And also with Bitcoin at 13,400, we're getting really close to the decision making zone. So really exciting. Whichever one it decides, you know, of course, we would all love to see two different alt seasons and all become billionaires, right? But in the end, I'm just excited to see a decision, because a decision tells us a story, and that can help our expectations a whole lot when we get a ton of information. And there's going to be so much information that'll be delivered to us once we get to that price zone, which is not very far away. So exciting times are in the near term future. Of course, you could check out bcbacker.com to get more detail on all that kind of stuff. But follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. So thank you. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. That notification bell is right down here somewhere near the bottom right corner of your screen. Just hit ding. But all right, as always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.